Suburban Kansas City High School want a longtime English teacher fired. Why? Because she spoke out against woke ideology in the school district. Kadron Sullivan has been teaching at Shawnee Mission North High School for 15 years, and she says children are being indoctrinated. In an online op-ed, here's what she wrote. There is no ideological diversity. There is no substantial counter-argument allowed. It is wreaking havoc on morale. And then she adds, we are losing good teachers because of an imposed divisive rhetoric that does not inspire mutual goodwill. Well, despite the backlash from the students, Sullivan says she will not back down.
The divisiveness of the DEI message is prompting just a culture of contempt in the building that is intolerable for many of us who work there and have worked there for a long time.
As of now, she still has her job, Kaylee.
Yes, yeah. Good for her for speaking out. And she also said that we were told not to tell parents when kids are transitioning and changing their pronouns and changing their names, which is inconceivable, and we cover all too often on this couch. This, to me, though, speaks to the fact that every parent in America needs to be having conversations with their children. My dad used to have us sit around at the dinner table, and he'd say, what'd you learn at school today? What'd you learn?
We do that.
And it's so important now more than ever. You know, at the time, it was just something silly that we did. Now, I mean, you don't know what your kids are learning. You don't know if your school has a parental secrecy policy like this teacher's. So we've got to ask our kids what they're learning and be involved. Because how many parents are going to work, coming home, and they have no clue things like this are happening?
You know what? You and I are always looking for silver linings. So here's one. During the rapacious behavior by unions and locking down students who didn't need to be when private and parochial schools were figuring a whole lot of things out to get kids in classrooms, during that process, many of us sat home with our kids and we knew what they were learning.
Amen.
So now we are extra motivated and extra curious and really, really going to put on some heat. And so the DOJ thinks we're a problem, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they got to turn the guns on you.
Yeah.
By the way, good on this teacher. I agree with you, Kaylee, but she'll probably be fired. And if she's
let's hope not.
If she's not fired, she'll be pushed out. Because
let's cover the heck out of it.
Of course we should, refuses to release their DEI policy or curriculum. The school won't release what they actually teach or how they teach, the pedagogy. So
do they? But it's public, don't they?
Apparently they're saying publishing rules prevent them from showing the parents what's in the classroom or the guidelines by which they teach. This is only the beginning. This is suburban Missouri. Minnesota right now, if you want to be a credentialed...
Actually, it's in Kansas. It is Kansas.
City. I was just looking at the bug on the screen. It said Missouri.
Oh, I used to live there in Johnson County. I know where it is.
My apologies to Kansas City residents. But ultimately, Minnesota right now, if you want to be a credentialed teacher, new law passed, you have to sign that you will support gender policies, that you will support DEI policies.
Can they make you do that?
Sure they can. If that becomes the prerogative of the school board and the Department of Education in that state, these teachers are up against it. And when she spoke out, she knew she'd probably get fired. We need more teachers willing to do that, because otherwise they're captured by the system.
And you know what? I want to come to both you ladies, but I got to stick with Pete because he has more children than anybody on the couch. All of us combined. What position does that put our children in when they know that they need to be competitive for testing that's coming up for colleges and for the certain things that they need to learn? And none of that woke stuff so far is going to be on those big tests and getting into those, meeting those requirements.
It's really hard to have expectation for kids other than do what you need to do to get the grade and survive. Like, is your eighth grader really going to be an activist against this DEI stuff and pronoun stuff? If you want your kids to be more than survivors, you have to pull them out, put them in a different school, or homeschool them in a way that is real education. Because right now,
because the whole point of school is to prepare them to be adults that function in society, that need to get a job and pay their bills and actually be a part of society. And going back to this teacher, I mean, by the way, teacher shortage, anybody? I mean, the fact that they can't, that district spent over $3 million to try to get teachers to actually come there, and more now quitting because of this exact issue that we're talking about right now. Talk about a waste of money. Sorry, I hate seeing money wasted, but I'm a cheap individual. But, you know, but at the end of the day, yeah, this is not what school is for. And a lot of these teachers, good for them, good for her for speaking up and saying enough is enough.
Molly, how do we change it?
Well, everyone needs to follow what this teacher did. Every good teacher needs to bravely stand up and speak out against this. Every parent, whether they pulled their kids out of these schools or not, needs to stand up. This will not be defeated by anything other than a lot of courage